Hi Ghazal.
Hello.
Welcome to the event.
Hey, thank you.
So good to see you. Ghazal, why don't you tell us a little about, in very quick, and I know we know your journey, how you thought of a skincare brand, how it started. But did you really go through that phase which most entrepreneurs who are seeing would actually be going through, the difficult part where probably you're doing a lot of those startup, bootstrap related things? Did that happen?
So I think every startup goes through that phase as their first phase, because it's only you who can see that long-term vision, something that you're building towards, while you have to convince a lot of people to partner with you on that journey, and nobody else can see that vision, right? So that I think is the toughest part. Of course, मेरी journey में भी वही हुआ था. जब शुरुआत में शुरू करते हो आप, तो it's a lonely journey, because it's very rare that you get mentors or people supporting you just basis the idea that you have in your mind. You have to actually be a really good storyteller. You actually have to pass on what you're feeling, what your emotions are to the other person for them to be able to partner with you on that journey. And that's what we did. For the first 6 months, I think that was the toughest period in my journey, because I was a new mom. I was raising a kid while I was building a startup. Building a startup itself was very new for me. मैंने उससे पहले 2 स्टार्टअप्स ट्राई किए थे, दोनों फेल हुए थे. तो वो जो फीलिंग होती है of self-doubt, will you be able to make it this time or not, that also pulls you down at a lot of places. And then you are on your own cheerleader, right?
Yeah.
You're the only one who has to pull you out of that zone and say, you know what, I'm still going to give it my best and I'm still going to try and make it work this time. So yeah, first 6 months were the toughest because of some of those reasons, but they're also the most fulfilling, because finally जो आपके दिमाग में चल रहा होता है वो आप action points में convert करके उनको actually deliver कर पाते हो.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. You're your own boss, for the first time possibly. What you're thinking, you can actually make it happen.
Right.
So you have a strong conviction towards making, those experiments go live, be practical, reach out to your consumers. The first purchase that your consumer makes and pays money to buy the product that you created is the most fulfilling. So I think while it has a lot of drawbacks, it also has a lot of pros to it, and it all depends on what side are you nurturing more.
Right.
किस साइड पे आप ज़्यादा पानी दे रहे हो. अगर आप उन छोटी छोटी अचीवमेंट्स पे ज़्यादा पानी दोगे, आप वो ज़्यादा फील करोगे. अगर आप सेल्फ डाउट पे ज़्यादा पानी दोगे, तो आप वो ज़्यादा फील करोगे. I decided the other way.
Sure. Were there times in your business where you felt कि my God, have I really, or have you sort of given it a second thought, about to close down, or maybe that's a little too extreme, but were there those points where you had to really tell yourself, or did you completely for a few days let it go?
I think ये वाला सबसे ज़्यादा डाउट अगेन अर्ली ऑन इन द जर्नी आता है, जब आपको 100 लोग रिजेक्ट कर देते हैं कि यार why should I invest money or time in you, right? आप कुछ ऐसा करना चाह रहे हो जो पहले किसी इंडस्ट्री में किसी ने नहीं किया है. आप वो वाले इंग्रेडिएंट्स, तो मेरे केस में मैं वो इंग्रेडिएंट्स यूज़ करना चाह रही थी जो लोग नहीं यूज़ करते थे, या सिर्फ एक्सपोर्ट होते थे, या मैं उनके प्राइजेस कम पे उनको कस्टमर को पहुंचाना चाह रही थी. आई थिंक दोज वर द टाइम्स व्हेन इट वाज रियली डिफिकल्ट एट अ फ्यू प्लेसेस टू कन्विंस पीपल to say, do this for us, give us some time, give us some bandwidth, give us some place in your R&D lab for us to execute some of these experiments. COVID was another time when that happened, when suddenly in 3 days of time, from a business that was growing consistently for the last 2.5 years, suddenly came to zero. And we had no clarity on how things are going to shape up in future. It was such an uncertain time. So those were the times when I did think twice that, am I doing the right thing? My baby is young, he's growing up. Is this risk worth taking, because I'm also putting his life at stake here? Does he deserve to go through some of these problems? But I think at the end of it, then you also look at the brighter points, you look at the little sparks. COVID was actually that event which helped us turn our mindset from a negative mindset to a positive mindset, where we said, you know what, we are not going to sit and not take any action. We are going to get up and we are going to see what is it the best that we can do. And from that day, in the next 10 days, we were back to running the business full-fledged and delivering on the numbers that we were doing pre-COVID.
Right.
So a lot of mental shift happened during that time, which I used to my favor till today.
Right. And if you were to do all of this again, would you still would you want to bootstrap for a longer time, or would you still choose to raise funds as early as you did?
I think through this journey, what I've learned is, not all great ideas need a lot of money. Most of the great ideas in businesses actually do not need a lot of money.
Really? Okay.
So if I have to do this around, possibly, now that I have a little comfort of my own money as well, I would love to bootstrap it and see how I'm able to execute on that front.
Right. And how important, Ghazal, would profitability be to a business? And I know it's a call between scale up versus just being profitable. So how should the entrepreneurs who are listening, how should they be looking at this?
See, like you said, it's a trade-off. When you're growing the business, what are you optimizing for? Are you seeing enough growth to be captured, and hence you want to grow faster and give up on profitability for a shorter period of time? But having a vision towards achieving profits and making the business self-sufficient is very, very critical. I think that's how we looked at our business all through this while. We became profitable 3 years back. But not at the cost of giving up growth, right? So we said that during the first 5 years, we are going to go very aggressive. We see this opportunity that needs to be captured. We are going to capture that, and hence we are going to go aggressive on growth. But at the same time, we did have a vision that 7 years, 8 years down the line, this is how we see profits coming in, and these are the places, and that's how we've grown. Actually, that's exactly how our business has panned out. Where we achieved profitability 3 years back, it was a margin level profitability, but we have consistently seen it getting better over the years, and now we are at a place where we further see the vision falling into place. So yes, if you have growth to capture, I would honestly suggest don't give up on that growth, but having a clear path to being efficient in the business, because it's as good as you have to make profit at the end of it. Yeah? That's the only definition of business. There is no other definition of business.
Sure. And so, Ghazal, we do understand that you also come from very humble background, very regular jobs, trying to make it from 1 month to another. So, how has life been before Mamaearth, and in the last, let's remove the IPO bit for a bit, but those 6-7 years versus life before that?
Life has become more comfortable. Life has, you personally get a little more acknowledged. The love that you get from people, not because of who you are, but because of the brands that you have created, because of the difference that you've brought into this entire personal and beauty category. That appreciation, I think, is a lot more today, and it's very, very welcoming. I love that feeling. What has changed is that पहले हम consumers के पास जाके उनको बोलते थे please try कर लो. अब consumers हमारे पास आके बोलते हैं कि thank you so much for making this difference and bringing this angle to the beauty and personal care. So that has changed. Other than that, who we are as people, it really cannot change in 3 or 5 years, right? We've grown up with certain set of values in a middle class family. Those values are intact. Those are the same values that I'm raising my kids with. And in my house, we are 4 generations living in the same house together, right? So it really just doesn't depend on me. It's so many other people in the house who bring that crownness, right? I'm so glad and I'm blessed that my kids are being raised with
so much love.
Yeah, so much love with the grandparents, with those same set of values. And I think 20-25 साल 30 साल की परवरिश और वैल्यूज 2 या 3 साल में नहीं चेंज हो सकते. तो अगर आज भी गाड़ी खरीदनी होती है तो we have to
like
the mileage or the return on investment, or what are we looking for, what is the utility, and still we ask ourselves question, both Varun and I, do we deserve it? Because that's how we've been raised, that you only get rewarded for something once you've achieved something and you deserve it. So I think that stays as in, and today even my kids have to earn if they really want something. So it's not कि उन्होंने मांगा और उनको मिल गया. There are certain milestones set, and only once they achieve that they get.
And life before IPO and after IPO, I know it's a very short time to ask that question.
But I think in this short time we have seen so much, like so many ups and downs. See, we were very sure that we are going to take the company public because that was a very natural next step for the
When did you
company
know
to
that?
grow up. 2 years back.
Achha,
Yeah.
okay.
So I always say that going public is a dream that we never dreamt of until 2.5 years back. But 2 years back, when we saw that this is a natural progression, we were very sure that it doesn't depend on short-term factors like how's the market and what's the sentiment, etc. Because we are not in it for the short term. We are going to build this company for decades and decades to come.
So you went public after being profitable, after getting
Oh yes,
Okay.
absolutely. That was the cut. I mean, see, our business also grew from just being one brand to being 6 brands. In those 6 brands, we also acquired a few companies, and hence the final P&L that you look at might look a little different because of certain exceptional items which are one-off, right? But if you look at the core business, that core business has been profitable for the last 3 years.
Sure.
And that's what we are getting better on quarter to quarter. Now that we have to release quarter results, everybody is able to see that efficiency coming in.
Sure.
But till the time you don't have a very strong business model and you're not confident that for the next 5 to 10 years, the business will continue to make such profits and get better, there is no point in going public. Because at least for us founders, we hold ourselves accountable for the money that we have taken and hence the returns that our investors should get. We are also very cognizant of that same even today. So we would like to do things the way it should take a natural course of, not having like massive ups and downs, but consistently धीरे-धीरे grow करना है and efficiently grow करना है is what we are aiming towards.
And you were talking about life after IPO when I sort of
Life after IPO's been a roller coaster ride. I wouldn't say it has been easy, but I think like we will settle into it and people will also settle into our business model. We are a new age company. There are a lot of doubts that people have. There are a lot of questions in their mind. Possibly sometime like 2 or 3 quarters, delivering on the plans that we have shared or the estimates and growing consistently, efficiently is something where people will also get more confidence on us. That's what we are working towards. That's what we are striving towards,
sure.
And it'll be okay.
It's
too new.
Yeah. Sure. So Ghazal, you did mention that you have kids at home, and the good part is that they are being grounded by so many other family members around, but you do live in one of the best possible places, and I'm sure you have all sorts of services at home. What are you doing to keep your kids so grounded so that they don't wake up like everything's given to them?
Let me make a little tweak to that. While it might look like this today, it has not been this for the longest period of time. This phenomena of living in a nice complex with all the services is something that I've really worked towards, right? When I started out, मैं एक घर पे रेंट पे रहती थी, 30,000 रुपये महीना उसका रेंट होता था. उस टाइम पे बिकॉज नई कंपनी स्टार्ट की थी, नानी अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते थे. So I was working as a mother and as an entrepreneur at the same time and managing both of those roles together, and I did that for about 1.5-2 years, right? उसके बाद भी मुझे लगा that I still need more support because as the business is growing, it demands more of my time, and my child was growing at the same time and he was starting school. So I convinced my parents, who used to live in Delhi, to move with us to Gurgaon, and that was the support system that I created, and I'm ever so grateful to them that they supported us during that time. From there, we moved to our own house, which we were not in a position to buy. Our parents bought that house from the money that they had by selling the old house. I have seen all of that journey to today, where we can afford a nice gated community which has security and all the facilities that you want your child to have, which is just 2 years back. And now, yes, I can afford a nanny. I have that support system at home. I live in a nice gated complex, but it shouldn't be seen as I am that child who was born with a silver spoon and had all of this catered to her. I have worked the last 6 years really hard, day in, day out, to achieve that.
You will never lose that grounding. But for the kids who are waking up to best of the schools, who are sitting in the best of cars, do you think it's not easy for them to actually get conditioned?
It's very easy for them to get deviated or conditioned that this is the way of life. And we work extra hard to ensure
to give that life to them.
To give those comforts to them, but also extra hard to ensure that they actually value the things that they are getting. So they don't get to drive in the poshest of cars to the school.
Right.
They don't get things delivered to them just because they asked for it. They know that there are certain milestones that they have to achieve to get. मतलब अगर मेरे बच्चे को आज उसकी favorite, and he's really into football, right?
Oh,
he
wow.
loves soccer. If he has to ask us to gift him his favorite jersey from a favorite player, he has to ensure that he gets 3 medals first home, and then he gets that jersey.
Now that's an entrepreneur,
Right?
an R&R program at home.
Yeah,
Reward and
so but like
recognition.
it is really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kids, can feel privileged. They can take things for granted. They might assume that this is a given, but then how do you ensure that they value those things is difficult. And I'm not saying I've got it right. I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. I keep taking notes from friends around on what are they doing, how can we do better. I talk to school at a lot of places to understand, how can we imbibe this culture better in our kids. So some of those things we are very cautious.
Great. One last question. While you're at Shark Tank, or even otherwise, when you're thinking of investing in companies, what are the top 1, 2 or 3 things that you're looking for? And I'm sure you've answered this quite a few times, but yeah.
So for me, I think the most important is founder and his passion for building what he or she is building. I think that's critical, followed by ability to execute, because like I said in the panel also, you're only as good as your any of the ideas is as good as execution. So you have to have that conviction of having a strong team who can back your vision, and you guys can actually make it from an idea phase to a delivery phase where results matter a lot. So I think in that order. And the third I would say is the 3T framework that I have. What is the market size? How scalable is the idea? Which is so team, traction and TAM is how I pronounce it.
Yeah.
So founder, ability to execute, then team, TAM and traction.
Got it. Great, Ghazal. I think lovely speaking to you.
Thank you
so
so
good
much.
to see more and more women founders around.
Thank you so much.